Hi, my name is Neil Bruce. I'm an accounting and finance graduate.
I get those goosebumps every time.
At the University of Dundee. Yes, I just finished my exams on Monday. I'm glad to be out and I'm glad to be looking forward to the future. But that has nothing to do with what this video is about, which is about why I am a financial minimalist and why I think you should be too. So to start off with, what is a financial minimalist? Because that sounds complicated. Basically, it's just someone who is more cautious about their money, living more frugally and living below their means. Because where some people might see £1,000 a month of income as £1,000 to spend, I'd rather see that as £1,000 a month in and £500 to spend. And then you get all the benefits of having that difference to use. So in this video, I'm going to go through how people spend so much, how you can spend less, and why you should spend less. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first off, with reference to this article by Talent International, we can see that almost a third of people in the UK live paycheck to paycheck, and this is an incredibly worrying statistic. This essentially means that the average person sees all of their income as disposable income that they can use all the time. And if we go onto this article by peachy.co.uk, we can see exactly where people are spending their money. So the median disposable income per family in the UK is roughly £28,400, but the average family is spending £27,480 of this. There is not enough disparity here. There needs to be more saving done. Peachy.co.uk article also runs through some shocking savings stats, and we'll run through a couple of those now. The amount of people with over £100 in savings is falling. Only 2/3 of 35 to 44-year-olds have more than £100 in savings. The amount of 55 to 64-year-olds with more than £100 in savings has fallen by 12% in 2017 to 74%. The average amount invested is now just £813, down from £1,050 just 2 years ago. 19% of people have no savings and are likely to have debts too. And more than half of 22 to 29-year-olds have no savings at all. So this would really suggest that the average household in the UK really isn't utilising their money to the fullest and using it for things that are potentially unnecessary. So now I'm going to run through how you can spend far less money. So starting off, we have budgeting, which seems like such a difficult thing. But once you get it sorted in your mind, it can be so beneficial. There's plenty of apps out there that you can use to help budget yourself. So the bare fundamentals of this are that you start with the amount of money that you earn per month. You put that at the top of a sheet of paper. Then you take off all of the expenses that are fully required for your living, whether that be mortgage payments or rent payments, electricity bills, TV bills, phone bills, and then you're left over with the amount of money at the bottom. You can make provisions for going out to restaurants and whatnot, but ideally you're going to want to save as much of that residual income as you can. And this is when the second part comes in, which is to cut out any unnecessary expenditure. Now there are many aspects of expenditure that I could go through in this video, but I've selected 4. These are consumables, clothes, cars, and technology. All things that in the UK we spend far too much of our money on. So what do I mean by consumables? Well, that's basically just food and drink from restaurants and cafes, which according to the peachy.co.uk article I referenced earlier, amasses to 20% of the UK's average expenditure. If we make reference to earlier in the article where they say that the average household spends £2,290 per month, 20% of that is a large amount of money. That's over £450. So £450 a month on average is spent by the average household per month on going out to restaurants or cafes, on coffees and cakes. And this is a big problem. Meals out cost a lot of money. Eating in is the way to go. And there are so many resources online that you can use to help you learn how to cook more efficiently and effectively and cheaply. So I encourage you to go onto YouTube, do some research, find out how to spend less money on your cooking, and therefore you'll spend less money on going out to eat because you'll want to cook your own food. Next, we have clothing. The average person in the UK spends £560 per year on clothes. And this is when major brands come right into it. I'm wearing a Levi top. I think this cost about £20, but I've realised now that I could just go and buy like a £3 white plain t-shirt from H&M, for example, and I would have the exact same level of enjoyment wearing that than this. There are so many unnecessary expenditures on clothes. People want to wear designer clothes because they want to look more well off than they are, but realistically, no one's gonna bat an eyelid if you come out in a £3 t-shirt. And so much money can be saved on clothes. Quite a lot of the time when people are buying clothes, they don't even need to. They've just kind of seen something that they want, but they don't actually need it. So it's definitely worth, when you're buying clothes, especially online, to try the 24-hour technique, where when you are thinking of buying a product, you put it in your basket and leave it for 24 hours. Then, if you still want to buy it the next day when you go on to the same basket, then you can go right ahead and buy it. But just make sure that you're giving it that consideration, giving it that 24-hour period to stew in your brain to know if you actually want to buy this product. Okay, this is a massive one, especially in the UK, which is the amount of people that buy cars that they can't afford. Or not specifically buy, but finance cars that they can't afford. There's a rule here that you can follow that'll help sustainability in your car purchases. So this is that you should only spend 1/10 of your income on car finance. So if you're earning £40,000 a year, you should be spending a maximum of £333 a month on your car. When you're financing cars that are slightly out of your price bracket, it's also a big danger that maintenance costs are gonna hit you hardest. And if you got a car that is below your means, then you could invest this difference. For example, if you spend £600 a month on a car, then you are just £600 out of pocket. But if you spend £300 on a month and invest the other £300, then you'll have £3,600 at the end of the year plus this car. And if you invest that money in an S&P 500 index fund with an average return of 8% a year, you'll have £3,888 by the end of the year. Another huge problem with the car market is that new cars depreciate on average 60% in the first 3 years, which means that when you get your car on finance at the start, it'll look like a great deal potentially, but by the end of that period, you'll be overspending so much on this car because it'll be worth so much less than it was when you first were paying for it. The car companies make these deals for premium cars look so much better value than you think is possible. And that's because it's not better value than you think is possible, because obviously the car monies are just looking at you to make as much profit as they can from you. They're not actually giving you good deals. They're giving you good deals that they want. So how to avoid this? You can buy cars that have already depreciated. If you buy a 3-year-old car, then you're kind of beating this system already. Or you can go ahead and buy a car that has some sort of rare value and therefore it won't depreciate. However, these cars obviously tend to be more expensive because they are not going to go down in value. And then my fourth thing that people need to cut back on spending on is technology. The average phone depreciates 61% in the first 2 years. I think it's more than fair to say that technology companies are making the lifespans of their products low so that you have to come back for more and buy again. Buying a phone that is 2 or more years old will help you save through this period. You will not see that depreciation hit. And if you want a phone that's only 1 year old, on average, that will have depreciated 40% already. Again, like cars, you don't want to be buying a new one because on average, they're going to depreciate massively. So now that you've spent way less because you followed these 4 things, you might be wondering, why should I be spending way less? Well, one of the most lucrative things about this is that you can amass passive income. Now, obviously, there's many different roads to go down when it comes to investing, whether it's in real estate or stocks or cryptocurrencies or anything. And if you want to know how to invest £100 6 different ways, then you can click the banner at the top of the screen and it'll take you right to my video that tells you how to do that. But what we're talking about here is passive income. If you save all this money and you invest it into real estate and stocks, you can just get money without having to do anything. It seems to be expected in society that you're just gonna have to work until you're like 70 years old and then just live off your pension. But what you can do is you can times your expenditure by 25. That is the amount of money that you need to have invested to retire to live off your dividends. So for example, if your yearly expenditure is £20,000, You times that by 25, that's £500,000 that you need to have invested to retire. And it sounds like a lot of money, but once you start investing, it will compound and it will get up to the level where you feel comfortable doing something like that. And obviously I still recommend having 3 to 6 months of your expenditure in an account where you can access it immediately and maybe not have it tied up in stocks and shares just to be safe. I think there's far more value to life than work. Obviously some people say to live in the moment and spend your money whilst you've got it, but I feel like it's worth it to save for your future, become financially independent, and live out your days without having to work 40 hours a week. I also feel like it's actually worth living your life rather than working until you die. It's quite a morbid topic, but health-related issues in the workplace skyrocket after the age of 50. Your pensions are only going to fund you after the age of 65. So if you can get your own investments sorted, start a lifetime ISA, watch my video about a lifetime ISA to find out how you can get £750,000 by the age of 60. And I guarantee you will have a more fruitful life without work and without work-related problems. So that concludes this video. I really hope that you consider the things that I said in this video. I find them really beneficial, and I really feel like you can really change your life with these methods. If you enjoyed the content in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.